Ladies and gentlemen, next up is a very special guest speaker who has traveled all the way from Southbroom to be with us. Many of you might know that Southbroom has been running as a successful UIP for many years now. And Eric is going to share with us some of their successes, how it is working for them, and the approach they decided to take as a community within their UIP. This will give us an overview of the different directions our community could take once we have the votes we need. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Eric Annie Garn.
I think you can keep the lights on, please. I must tell you what's going to drive you mad are all these three-letter acronyms. We have the SRA, which is the Southbroom Ratepayers Association. It's also called the Special Rating Area. We've got the UIP, which in the legislation is an urban improvement precinct. You in your wisdom have decided to call it the Tweenie Improvement Project. We've got the SPOA, which is the Southbroom Property Owners Association. So if I trip on all these acronyms, you're going to have to excuse me a little bit. So I'm going to refer to the UIP, in my terminology, the Urban Improvement Precinct. It's also known as the Special Rating Area. But I've also got the SRA, which is the Southbroom Ratepayers Association, and so it goes. So it's very complicated. Our UIP, which is run by the Southbroom Property Owners Association, the organisation not for profit. It's a weird thing because our Southbroom ratepayers, like the Tweenie ratepayers, will be shareholders of this organisation that you form. Ours happens to be called the Southbroom Property Owners Association. It's weird. It's a public company and you're a shareholder by virtue of you being a ratepayer, but you don't have a share in the business. You can't sell that share. You can't borrow money against that share. What it gives you is a vote. And that vote is to vote the board of directors. And the board of directors will run your organisation, whatever you choose to call it. Ours in Southbroom has been running for 17 years. There was early legislation, and that's partly why the names keep on changing. And that Urban Improvement Precinct for 17 years has achieved currently 0 crime in Southbroom. Listen to me, look at my lips. 0 crime in Southbroom, nothing. When I came down to Southbroom a long time ago, there were 20 house break-ins a month. All right, 240 a year, down to 0. What do we pay? Southbroom currently pays 164 Rand and 64 cents across about 1,200 ratepayers. That gives the CPF, the entire CPF, about 1.5, 1.6 million Rand a year. That is devoted to a contract that we've got with the service provider. We've got cameras, we've got vehicles we pay for, and so it goes. Street patrols, bush patrols, no crime, and that's fantastic. What we have done in the last couple of months is we petitioned our ratepayers to increase the UIP levy from 164 Rand to 387 Rand a month. All right, that's to keep the crime component and then to do everything else. Worry about water, worry about potholes, worry about this and everything else. Bear in mind the legislation says that UIP money is to enhance municipal services. We and you have to work with RNM. Get rid of, some of you are going to raise questions. No, let's boycott RNM. Let's put the money ourselves into a fund. That, for a lot of good reasons, will never, ever work. You want to ask me questions afterwards why it will work? I'll give you the 10 good reasons why it wants to work. But you want to fight that fight. I promise you it's a waste of time. Work with RNM. They're your partners. You cannot destroy them. They do so much other stuff, and they've got the collection mechanism to collect your money to pay it back to you. They've been doing it for us for 17 years. The system works, and they don't involve themselves too much. We send them annual financial statements once a year. I think with our new increased amount, they're going to want a little bit more oversight, but we a month ago, submitted documentation to them like this for the increase, which is what you're going to have to get to. Here's what you have to do. You will need 50% plus one of all ratepayers. We tripped over this for a long time. Not 50% of people who are voting. R&M's not going to accept that. You need 50% of all ratepayers. That's tough. That's very tough. You've got people who don't answer emails, your database is not that good, people are overseas, people just don't care. The campaign to get 50% plus one is a huge, huge campaign of all ratepayers. Our numbers worked out. Of the 1,200 residents, we've got about 700 people voting. Of the people that voted, 94% said yes to the increase to the higher amount. But that 700 over 1,200 was about whatever the numbers are, a smaller percentage. So you need to bear that in mind. It's a big ask. But having a room this full gives me a lot of confidence that this can work. I'm pleased that the R&M people have left, have they? Let me tell you why this works. We figure in Southbroom that we pay in rates, and I'm pretty certain it's not that much different. You pay about 36 million rand a year in rates. This whole community, thereabouts 30 to 40 million rand. Where does that go? Well, overheads, salaries, fraud, misappropriation, money that goes to the other side of the highway. Those are realities of the life. How much of that 36 million rand do you actually get back here? In Southbroom, we estimate about 10%. So we receive from R&M about 3 million rand in services, garbage collection, law enforcement, traffic, roads occasionally, verges occasionally, potholes infrequently. They try. We can't get rid of them, we have to enhance what they've got. But that's all we get back. Your million rand, what is that actually worth? No overheads, no salaries, no fraud, properly spent, because you guys are working for free. The management of that million rand is working for free. So effectively that million rand is like worth 20 million rand. Let's play with the numbers a little bit, but that million rand gets properly spent. So it was emphasized by the previous speakers that it's under your control. But more importantly, it gets properly spent, it gets very efficiently spent, because you don't have to pay any management fees and you don't have to pay any salaries. Nothing, not a single cent. Everybody here is working for nothing. And all you're left with is money that gets spent on fixing the pothole. That's why the scheme works. And it's sad that that much amount of money goes to R&M, but we are not going to change that political reality. You may as well abandon that idea. It's sad and it's horrible, but you can take it and spread that load amongst everybody and accordingly control that money and spend it properly. And that's the way Southbroom has got to where it's got at the moment. I'm the chairman of the Ratepayers Association and I'm the chairman of the SPOA. Not a great construction, but that's where it is at the moment. When we get the higher levy, all levies, subscriptions to the volunteer subscriptions to the Conservancy and to the ratepayers, all of that will disappear. Everything will be funded out of the UIP levy that comes via R&M. I think that's it. That's all I have to say.